Did you know that Elon Musk has a charity? You probably don't, and there's a good reason for that. It doesn't really do anything, and it barely gives any money away. In fact, it gives so little money away that it might be breaking the law with how little charity it actually does. Did you know there's a law concerning this? Yeah, it turns out that his foundation gave away less money than was required for a foundation like this to do back in 2023. Private foundations such as this must donate 5% of their assets every year, and so he missed it for 3 years in a row. And let's just be super clear. Look, I'm not, a massive philanthropist or anything because I don't have any money and nobody would trust me with theirs, but 5% doesn't seem like a lot to give away in a yearly. What are you waiting for? The world is burning around us and you're like, I'll get to it in the 2030s. Well, anyway, how much did he fall short? Well, $421 million short. Think of the good that could have been done, and in fact was required by law to be done by that money that was not. So he either has to now rush at the end of the year to distribute that money, or he'll be required to pay a sizable penalty to the I.R.S, which obviously he doesn't want to do. Now, his foundation is a big one, $9 billion, including millions of shares in Tesla. By law, obviously, as we said, they have to give away 5% of their assets. And the reason for that is there are massive financial benefits to parking billions of dollars in a foundation. And in all of these 3 years where he's not giving away enough money, he's reaping those benefits. He's saving in potential taxes that he might have to pay. And he's supposed to give away the money so that it's not just a way to shield your massive wealth from government scrutiny, but that is effectively how he's been using it. And it's been getting worse, by the way. Back in 2021, his foundation fell $41 million short. It was $234 million short the following year. And then as we showed, over $400 million this last year. And it's probably predictable that he would fall short. You go to the website for the foundation to see like what their mission is, what are they investing in, and there's basically nothing there. This is feeling kind of reminiscent of the Donald Trump charity. No wonder they get along so well. Brett, what do you make of this?
What if I told you that Elon Musk is a billionaire who's just doing what billionaires normally do? Whoa. He's not there to save you. He's there to trick you into thinking he's there to save you. Neo, you just got Brett pilled. I
know late stage capitalism.
I mean, really, the only through line with the Doge approach and this charity approach is he's just there to trick the government out of doing the stuff it's supposed to do, out of serving you, and into little weird tax breaks and incentives that line his pockets. Like, bro, if you have that much money for a foundation and you're not giving away and you're not doing something with 5% of it, what are you doing with that money? The obvious answer is just shielding it from the taxes that I will assume every single working class person out there really would prefer that billionaires pay in taxes.
Yeah. The strange thing for me isn't just, I imagine, like when I try to imagine myself in this position, I've got, I don't know, whatever he has, $400 billion. It's stupid money. It means literally nothing. It's infinite money. It doesn't even matter. I can't imagine what I would do every day. I would wake up and be like, I'm gonna change the GD world. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'd change the world 10 different ways before lunch. Okay, and I'd eat lunch. It would be foods regular people have never even heard of. That's what I imagine the life of a billionaire is like. Instead, what does he do? Stupid BS, stupid BS. That's all he does. That's all he ever does. He has this opportunity to do immeasurable good. I'm not even saying donating to like causes that I care about. He could be donating to stupid causes that he believes. He's not even doing that. And also that's from my point of view, but from his point of view, has there ever been a person in American history who more desperately wants to be loved and admired than Elon Musk? It is all he wants. And this is a way that you could do it. Like, maybe just like replying to S posters on Twitter isn't the only way to get the admiration you so obviously desire. He could change so many people's lives every single day, and he is legally obligated to do so if he's gonna have a foundation like this. But instead, no, he just sits on it and the number gets higher, pointlessly higher. It's all very frustrating. It's enough to make you think that billionaires maybe shouldn't exist. Maybe they're actually a net ill for society and for our country. But anyway, Brett, any other thoughts about this?
Well, yeah, I don't think that just by virtue of the fact that you're a billionaire, you're a bad person. I just don't think that. I think there's folks that just play the game and then keep winning at it, and then that they have a lot of money at the end. But I think the false assumption is that by the time you're a billionaire, you're playing the same game. Like what ends up happening, there's this saying that like America is a country of temporarily inconvenienced millionaires. Like if you ask a lot of people, America isn't necessarily about civil rights and equality and the message of the underdog rebelling against like the mighty. For them, America is a place where you can go get rich, right? You can go there. The tax structure is set up so it incentivizes business. That's what they say. But there's this false assumption that a small business owner is just a small version of a billionaire. And that's just not true. All of them, all small business owners, all people who are aspiring to be billionaires are getting boxed out in very systemic and corrupt ways by the billionaires who they look up to on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, AKA X. Like it is a tangibly different set of rules. And I've talked to small business owners over and over about it. And they start off saying like, I want to be like Elon Musk. I want to have this big company. But the truth is like, once he gets a small advantage, he gets an even bigger advantage. Rich get richer because he gets handouts from the government. And if he fails, he doesn't go belly up. All these small business owners are like, I love free market capitalism. I love it's a thing where you get by on your own merit, but that's just not how it plays out. See the 2008 recession when they buoyed up the big banks, all the big companies that just go bankrupt and they get some kind of protections that you as the person who owns a landscape company or a tradesperson who has a plumbing business, like you don't get any of that, and you should.
Yeah, I think in terms of like the game, the different levels of the game that you're talking about, I looked up the stat that I was thinking of again, and this is I think I find like scale and like the human inability to conceive of scale to be an amazing thing, and I'm sure that the vast majority of you have already heard this, but I find it amazing. The difference between $1 million and $1 billion, like from my point of view, is a whole bunch of money, right? $1 million's a whole bunch of money. $1 billion is a whole bunch of money. It's way more money than I have, way more money than I'll ever have. But that does not encapsulate the difference between those two things. 1 million seconds is 11 and a half days. 1 billion seconds is nearly 32 years. They're not actually close at all. They are fundamentally very different. And he isn't just a billionaire, he's the most billionaire.
300 billionaires.
300 of infinite money.
So that's, if that's it, it's 300 times 11, 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I think, I don't know, like, are you necessarily a bad person if you have $300 billion? I think obviously it depends on how you define those things, but I think there is opportunity. So for instance, the classic example is you come across, a child drowning in a lake or whatever. And let's say you have two people, they see this happening and they don't do anything. Okay, one of these people is 98 years old, walks with a cane or whatever. The other person is the world's strongest man, and they both look at the child drowning and do nothing. Are they equally bad? I would argue most people don't think that they're equally bad. Well, he's the world's strongest man when it comes to money and the ability to help people. And again, I'm not saying help the people I'd want him to help. Obviously, he's not gonna do that. He sucks. But he doesn't even help the people that he likes. He's just a bad guy.
Right, like, are you a bad person if you're a billionaire? Not necessarily.
No, I think so.
Are you a bad person if you have $300 billion? I just don't think having it is bad. It's if you add the word "still" in that sentence, you're probably a bad person if you still have $300 billion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and there's a bunch of people like, well, he doesn't, that's not all liquid assets. That's just the valuation of the stock that he owns. And if he were to sell it and liquidate it, that money would probably go to, that controlling interest would be transferred to somebody else. Yeah, but he'd have a ton of cash and he could do a lot with it.
Yeah, again, look, a lot of like the cultists, of which there are many, are going to be like, you guys are jealous or whatever. But like, no, I'm not jealous in the way that you think it. First of all, if I could literally press a button and switch lives with him, I would never freaking do it. That's insane. But also, I see what it does to these people. It does not make them better. It doesn't seem to make them happier. Like, and I say that very often. Anyway, we have to get into other areas of this because
really quick,
I think
one sentence. I'm jealous of $10 million. I don't know what to do with $300 billion. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like I'm confused by it.
I think that is a great way to contextualize it.